the man took out his phone on the bus. Unexpectedly, the next second, his phone started to melt. In just 1 second, it turned into a pile of sand. He looked up in horror and found that the phones of the other people on the bus were also disappearing. Strangely, everyone else acted as if they didn't see it and continued doing their own things. Henry was terrified and immediately got off the bus. But to his surprise, the phone booth beside him exploded, and the phone in the booth also disappeared for no apparent reason. Henry panicked and ran to the mobile phone store. However, the scene in front of him left him stunned. The phones that were originally on the shelves quickly turned into books. The mobile phone store turned into a stationery store right in front of his eyes. The next second, a sharp pain shot through Henry's head. All his memories of phones began to fade, as if phones had never existed in this world. All of this happened because Henry made a deal with the Grim Reaper. For every extra day Henry lived, one thing in the world would disappear. Henry was originally an ordinary mailman. After his mother passed away, he moved into the small house with his pet cat. Although his life and work didn't have much fun, the optimistic Henry still felt content. One day, while delivering letters, Henry's vision started to blur. Then he fell heavily to the ground. He immediately went to the hospital for an examination. To his surprise, the doctor told him some bad news. Henry had a malignant tumor in his head. This bad news made Henry feel extremely desperate, but he had no way to change it. After the initial breakdown, Henry became surprisingly calm. Although he was afraid of death, having been alone for so long, he didn't know who to share his fear with. When he got home, Henry wanted to pour out his grievances to his cat. But a man's voice greeted him from the room, and the man looked exactly like himself. It turned out that he was the legendary Grim Reaper. Since Henry's death was due the next day, the Grim Reaper came to make a deal with him. The Grim Reaper claimed that for everything that disappeared in the world, Henry could live one more day. Without much thought, since Henry hated cockroaches the most, he chose to make cockroaches disappear in exchange for one more day of his life. But the Grim Reaper said that Henry didn't have the right to choose. It was up to the Grim Reaper to decide what would disappear. Just then, Henry's phone rang. It was a call from his boss, asking Henry to come back to the company for overtime work. Henry was in a difficult situation. He wanted to explain to his boss that he was sick and couldn't work, but in the end, he just asked for a day off. Seeing his timid look, the Grim Reaper said that it would be better to make phones disappear, so that no one would call him to arrange work anymore. But the Grim Reaper gave Henry a chance to make one last phone call. Now, he could think carefully about who he should call with this last call. Then the Grim Reaper disappeared from the room. Henry opened his phone's call log. He had many saved numbers, but he couldn't find anyone to talk to. After hesitating for a long time, Henry finally made the last call to his ex-girlfriend.